There it is. Now I can hear myself. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Arius Bookman. If it's a Monday morning, you already know the forecast. It's going to be a shit storm. Got a few of y'all in the chat already getting shit on. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Y'all already know. You see the new folk come through with the umbrella, the special umbrella and the raincoat. Ain't got no holes in it. These niggas don't know. It's all right, though. We're going to get to it today. Today I want to feature another YouTuber who actually talks about metaphysics. There's a lot of times he'll go over my head and I have to go look up some shit. Mostly because I don't have a background in electrical circuitry. But this is one of the reasons I want to point this out is because there's so many different ways to get this. Okay. I like to use the numbers and geometry, number and geometry, excuse me, because it's very intuitive and everybody knows it. Well, you would think. Anyways, I have another homie I'm talking to. He does it with music, and we're trying to connect on the music front. You know, this is one way you can connect on the electrical circuitry front, because bro, it's the whole thing. It's really not that difficult. It's not. You can do this shit with color. Anyways, that's not the point. That's not the point. I want to also, because the video I'm featuring, he's talking about Nikola Tesla's metaphysics. I most certainly am not going to show you the whole video, but I wanted to highlight a few things from it. Because once again, we're talking metaphysics. One of the big things that's tripping people up is the ontological category of matter. They really do not want to let it go. Okay, fair play. Do what you do, kid. But if you so choose to go down that path, you know, I remember one dude asked me about 0-point energy, and I'm like, bruh, okay, I mean, I'm not talking about it, but there's people talking about it, okay? And bro, it's not even the thing. Like, this is another thing I was telling somebody, is that you don't even need to know all this shit to know how to do it. You know, but hey, we here for it, bro. We gonna talk about it. Fuck you mean. Alright, don't hit you with the intro. Oh shit, you like that? I didn't even mean to rhyme. See, bro, I'm not a rapper. I'm gonna drop an album on you niggas talking about you about to drop an album. I'm gonna drop an album on all you niggas. It's gonna hit, it's gonna be fire. Your girl gonna hear it, and you can be like, she gonna look at you. She gonna hear my album and look at you, be like, so when you about to drop? I'm not even a rapper though. Anyways, let me continue. I'm a piece of shit. Gerson and Jakari in the chat. Good to see y'all at the show, man. Gerson, look, bruh. I'm not trying to do it. I mean, I'm trying a little. That's because I can't help it, but I ain't trying to do it. See, that's why I want to give y'all the good shit so you can go take it. Bro, drop that album, bro. You know, spit that shit to her real quick. Don't have her come look at me do it, bro. We got a problem. Because I don't want it. Billy rocking to the intro music. Loser back, good to see you in the chat. Hell yeah, man, that shit be hidden. Look, all right, before I get into this though, not only is there going to be a different show, there's going to be a different format, I guess you could say. We about to lean into this group thing. We about to lean into this community thing, man. Because it's not to have a group. It's because there's a lot of people who I deal with, even customers at our store, who they're interested in the stuff. It catches their eye, but they're not necessarily into it yet. They haven't jumped over that first barrier of entry. And so I want to push people into it, but we can guide people into it. Because it's not difficult. It's not difficult. Bruh. But so, okay, so anyways, I'm going to be talking to you about that. This is episode 50. We're going to 52. I told you I was going to hit 52. We're going to 52. Next two episodes, one, I want to see if I can talk about polyamory, and polygamy next episode. And the last episode, I want to try and talk about law in a way I haven't talked about it yet. So there's your lineup for the last two episodes. We're going to kick this off, man. This is going to be fun. I'm going to have some fun with this today because I like listening to other people talk about metaphysics. And for all you guys who like the Vedic stuff, the Sanskrit, this motherfucker you probably want to look at. I mean, I'm not saying stop looking at Trav. Look at Trav too. Trav to talk about, but this dude, you'll see. I really recently watched one of Trav's live streams, man. He was knocking it out, bro. He was talking about he was putting some lines down about the middle path. I was like, all right, Trav, I see you, bro. Okay, go ahead and do the thing, man. I mean, you can tell, the other people, the guests, the students is going a little bit over their head, but, it was cool. It was cool because they're there to learn, so let some shit go over their head. They're all right. But no, he was hitting. It was cool. All right, here we go. One more thing again. No, Gerson, it's not near your girl. I promise, dude. No, piece of shit. All right, I got this set up. Mr. X, good to see you in the chat. Good morning, welcome to the show. All right, y'all, I got everything set up. Let's go. Second bar.
How you doing? Once again, I do love making videos about stuff that nobody's discussing out there. There's no videos on YouTube about this, at least not that I could find. And if there was, I know they wouldn't go into any detail or actually know what was being said. On Tesla's metaphysics and his belief system, of course I don't like to use the word belief since that's a bit of not a heretical word, but we're always supposed to be, with enough wisdom, be able to see past anything that we believe and search for the truth. This is what a genuine truth seeker is. Most of us could certainly proclaim that Tesla is that. I'd like to give a few quotes from Tesla about what he thought about the metaphysics of the universe, and also too somebody that he made friends with, and they both exchanged letters.
All right, y'all. This is Ken Wheeler. He runs the YouTube channel Theoria Apophysius, or something to that effect. Excuse me, I'm not versed in the Sanskrit and ancient Pali. But yeah, he runs this. He runs this particular show. Every now and then he does the Tattooed Monkey live stream. He does a lot of talking about the dialectric. And you'll hear about that, which is part of the reason I think he was interested in Tesla. And he's going to talk to you about somebody that Tesla was having, it's not sexual, stop, having correspondence, excuse me, who Tesla was having correspondences with. Once again, if y'all like the Sanskrit and the stuff like that, check this out, man. Because I mean, he talks about it too. So it's not just one person. And I wouldn't consider. Well, I don't think this guy is particularly left-hand path. I don't think he's attempting to be. Actually, I think he'd fall in line with a lot of what the Trav stuff talks about. So yeah, there's space for all of it, man. Just because you listen to me don't mean you got to be left-hand path and hit people with your dick. That's just what terrible people do. I'm terrible people, y'all. All right, let's continue. Oh, one thing I want to point out he said. See past your own beliefs in search of truth. See past your own beliefs in search of truth. What are we saying here? See past your own beliefs in search of truth. I'm not saying to reject having beliefs, because some people like to jump to that, where they go to, I have no belief, I only know. That's a fallacy. Because even to say that is a belief, because how do you prove it, right? All knowledge is based on belief. Belief is not a bad thing. Blind faith, that's something different. Belief is not a bad thing. It's the foundation of anything you call knowledge. Okay? And so you have to be able to check your beliefs, because here's another thing people want to do sometimes is, you question, okay, well, where are you getting this? Okay, you say this is a flat earth map. Like, where are you getting this from? How is this more relevant than Jesus? And we'll jump back to I don't really know anything. Nobody knows anything. Well, come on now. If that's what your argument rests on, if your argument rests on everybody's ultimately right, it's folly. Don't say it's folly. You're building a castle on sand. You're building a castle on sand. What you want to be able to do is get some consistency and get some clarity first. Okay, get some consistency and some clarity, because as you do that, that's going to build your confidence up. All right, you don't want to just jump to saying something to build your confidence up, because really the whole reason you in this is because you wasn't a confident motherfucker. Nice. Confidence is a factor, but it is not the driving force. Your consistency and your clarity are going to do that. My nigga. Let me continue. Oh shit. Oh my God, I never sent you those boot camps. Oh. Hey man. Get out here, man. Y'all talk about it, bro. Okay, here we go.
So, and also too, I'd like to make an important point about what Tesla is saying relative to what I've said and what the ancient Greek and Indian true metaphysics actually did say. First off, this is from Tesla. He said, my brain is only a receiver. This kind of fits in perfect with my radio analogy there. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, information, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. From this statement, he actually takes the same position of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, original Buddhism. The term Buddhism didn't exist until the 16th century. Actually, what it should be called is what its teacher called it. He called it Brahmayana, Samyutta Nikaya 5.4, which means path to the absolute, or path to the divine, i.e. the agathon.
Cool. Yeah. Just a little, in the process of decolonizing your metaphysics, Brahmayana, path to the divine or the eternal, Santa Dharma, the eternal order. Okay, keep in mind, this shit is a lifestyle. It's not an aesthetic. With the Instagram name or the few spooky pictures. It's a way of life. It's a different set of priorities, okay? So yeah, things like the idea of Buddhism and Hinduism, these are colonial terms. Not to say you can't say it, or how niggas be like, don't say Egypt, say Kemet. No, it's not to tell you what you can or can't say. It's to say, look, here, if you want to look at how the people who brought this or who came up with it looked at it, here's a glimpse into that. Okay, so yeah, do studies the translations, all this shit. He hit the words and stuff. Because he actually, that was part of what he did is to translate the shit. That was like his job or whatever. Anyways, let me continue. I don't want to tell you, I'd rather show you.
So I said my brain's only receiver. Western existentialists and atomists / nihilists think that everything is going on in and of the brain. Rather, Tesla says that it's a receiver, just like this radio and antenna analog, which I've used kind of endlessly. It's not a totally perfect analogy, but it is nearly perfect and way closer than anything else. By the way, Walter Russell was an apparent friend to Nikola Tesla. Just as a side note here, Walter Russell's book, The Universal One, which I highly recommend. I digitally scanned that book in. It exists out there for
This book right here is also, I would say, I don't have enough grounds to tell you it's excellent. What I can tell you is that the first time I read it, I knew it was completely way over my head. But one thing I do want to do is I might go through this book and do a group study or a book study, like, not just one of the readings, but where, I'm trying to do the research and show doing the research or studying this book. That'll be probably people in the group and shit, but that's one thing I want to do. I'd suggest it. That's why I put the picture up here. Check it out. Check it out. Because you can find the PDF online, and I'll have it available for the group. That won't be a problem at all. But yeah, go through this one, the Universal One. Because if you're interested in Nikola Tesla, you'd also be interested in this. Bro, who's calling me right now? Nah, player. How you got my number? What? Nah, son. Nah, son. You just want to talk about bills. I ain't here for that. What you mean? It's too early, bro. Nah, let's go. Boy, stop. Oh, no, I gotta...
free, thanks to me scanning it in ages ago. You're welcome. Tesla said of Walter Russell's book, Walter Russell's writing on the cosmogony should be hidden for 1,000 years until humanity is ready for it. You can find that quote out there. Some people have questioned the validity of that. I actually do not, but I'll let you take your own stance on that. This is the most important one, but there are other quotes from Tesla. And I'd like to get to this and explain it and then talk about a guru I say that Tesla was a follower of, great admirer into the insights of Vedanta and the metaphysical ontology of Advaita and Indian metaphysics. It's just no different than Greek metaphysics. Greek monism, i.e. Advaita, is no different than the Advaita of the Upanishads and Shri Sankaracharya in his two primary works, the Upadisa Sahasra and the Vivachudamuni.
One thing I want you to keep in mind, he kind of brushed over it because he makes the example a lot in other videos, is the analogy of the radio and the signal, the reception. Okay, I'd say it like this. Keep in mind, the body's an antenna. It's picking stuff up. Okay, it's not that, because a lot of people who are materialists, so to speak, they like to reduce the psyche to the brain. Okay, and the brain is another piece of me. It's very fancy. I will not deny you that. The brain is very fancy, mysterious even, but it's not the show. It's not the show. All right, this thing is an antenna. It's picking it up. Okay, now I don't even want to do a whole 9 ether your hair. No, it's not that, right? Because again, that's materialism. Well, you said it's the electromagnetic spectrum. No, but that's still in the bubble. Don't worry. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you him tell you about it, because it'll make more sense if we go back and forth on it. When I say an antenna, I'm not just talking about the electromagnetic spectrum. That's an application or an example of or an analogy of. Excuse me. All right, that's what you want to remember. That's an analogy. So you don't want to confuse the map with the territory, all right? The map is analogous to the territory. It is not the territory. Let me continue.
Anyway, Nikola Tesla says here that the day science studies non-physical phenomena And by saying non-physical phenomena, what we mean, of course, is metaphysics. Non-physical phenomena, we could be referring to energy. Which is a beautiful word. Both field and energy are not terms that have actually been defined or explained by modern-day so-called scientists, which are not scientists at all, rather mathematicians, and Nikola Tesla himself said that. He said that 100 years ago. It will make more progress in 1 decade when the day science starts studying non-physical phenomena, i.e. metaphysics. It will make more
It will make more progress in 1 decade the day science starts studying the non-physical. And keep in mind what he also said. Scientists today aren't scientists. They're mathematicians. Well, a lot of them are. They're mathematicians. But it's not a bad thing. It's about the perspective you have on what you're looking at. The image here is an amplituhedron. We talked about this when I had Hoffman featured on the show. What this is a time-space. It's a time-space geometry. It's geometry of time-space. It's a geometry that exists outside of space-time. What he was talking about when he brought out the amplituhedron, him and his team, they were plotting the scatter charts of subatomic particles. All right, and to do the math for just one of those took pages and pages of algebra. Okay, but when they used the equations from the amplituhedron, they could reduce pages of algebra down to a single equation, a couple variables in the equation. All right, and so what they found was doing the mathematics on space-time, outside of space-time, was more effective. That essentially space-time, or the physical world, was masking the results or making it more difficult or more complicated to do simple math. And so Western science is beginning to venture into this. But once again, you don't need to know about an amplituhedron to experience non-physical reality. You're always doing the thing. That's why I was telling another person yesterday, you don't have to get to the point where I'm doing this 24/7. You're already doing it. You're just doing it wrong. Well, no, nobody can be wrong because everybody's right. Well, then what does right even mean? Look, you're just doing it wrong. And it's not bad that you're doing it wrong. It's just you want to get to the place where you're doing it right. But you got to be like, hey, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Never mind. Good job. Everybody gets a trophy and a ribbon and some cookies and juice. There we go. Everybody gets cookies.
progress in 1 decade than it has in all previous centuries in existence. And the important point right after this, Tesla says, if you want to find the secrets or understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now we say vibration and we say frequency. We're talking about an energy perturbation. It's no different than saying a field perturbation. And we could think not that steam and ice are perturbations, but we could think of them in the same terms of modality of. Ice and steam are modalities of, say, if water is rest, analogously, then the application of cold causes a modality of the water. So we've got this new word, ice. It's like, you mean cold water? Yeah, except we call it ice. And the same is true of steam. So
all right, this is one of the real reasons I wanted to talk about this one. Frequency, vibration, and energy. You're going to hear this one everywhere. Frequency, vibration, and energy. Energy is a heavily overused word. And most people don't understand what they're talking about when they're saying energy. Most time when people say energy, they're talking about the dissipation of energy. It's like how people confuse Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. It's about as subtle a difference as that, really. But it can make all the difference. Look, energy is inertia. Energy is inertia. The dissipation of that inertia is what people usually call energy. Like it's some type of a manifestation or a like electricity, for example. Okay, electricity. The energy or the earth, the ether, I guess you could say, is disturbed, and the effect of the disturbance is that dissipation. All right. And you see, once again, I don't necessarily like this framework, but if you're looking to go down that road, if you're not gonna get rid of energy, if you can't help it, you just got to be a thing. You know, like Christians, like, I don't believe in church, but I know Jesus is out there. Yeah, that's you niggas. I don't believe these scientists. They lie about everything. The earth is flat. But energy and melanin? Whatever. Energy is inertia. All right, what most people are talking about are particles and waves. Particles and waves are a doing. They're not a is. They're a doing. They're not a is. Like how he's talking about differences in modality. If you consider water rest, and we're going to come back to this because I said you can associate music with this as well. But continuing, if you consider water rest, things like steam and ice are nice words for hot and cold water. Okay, and when you're looking at a lot of this stuff in occultism and different metaphysical frameworks, sometimes you're looking at a different modality of the same thing. But the bigger point to take away, if we're talking vibration or frequency, we're talking about a doing and not a being. So keep that in mind, okay? Waves in a water is something water does. Whirlpools in a water is something water does. It's not what water is. You can't pull the whirlpool out, you can't pull the wave out, because it's not what water is. Okay, so vibration, frequency, these are doing. Okay, keep in mind, metaphysics is philosophy. You have to think about your thinking. I'd say let matter go completely, but whatever the fuck, right? Anyways, let's continue.
You talk about frequency and vibration. I'd like to point to the two most important passages that exist through original Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta, the Vedas too. This is from the Yoga Sutta of Patanjali's. It says the same thing. Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha. This means the liberation, the fruit of yoga, is the subjugation of Nirodha, the nous, or the mind, or the spirit, which is the chitta, yeah? The spiritus sanctum in Latin. Perturbations. Perturbations mean vritti. Vritti means frequency, means vibration. It means a wave of. A modality, disturbance of. You know, you like stick your hand in the calm waters and you create a vibration and a frequency. You know, of course, you're releasing energy by burning calories, by shaking the water, right? In this case, in the case of the spirit, it's the spirit itself which is shaking itself due to primordial agnosis, desires, unfulfilled and non-free will. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. We can replace the word energy with spirit or spiritus sanctum, and frequency or vibration, but of what? A frequency is a modality disturbance of something else. There is no such thing as frequency, vibration, or waves, which are almost synonymous terms. Nobody can deny that. But frequency of what? Vibration of what? A wave of what? You know, there's no such thing as a wave. A wave is what something does, not what something is. The same is true of frequency.
Mm-hmm. Keep this in mind, because this always stumps the vibrate higher self head ass niggas, right? Okay, look, right? You say, okay, you need to vibrate higher. What's vibrating? What's vibrating? You need to raise your frequency, bro. What's vibrating? And then when they really ain't got nothing, oh, it's the subatomic some materialism. Fuck out of here, bro. The law of vibration ain't about vibrating particles. It's the third principle. Why is it the third principle? Because without three components, there is no vibration. Imagine you have zero components, right? So there's only nothing. Next, we got one component. There's only one component, it's unity. It doesn't interact, or there's no dynamic with itself. All right, you get two. Now you can have a dynamic with yourself, but the dynamic is, what's the word I want to use? There's a good word here. The dynamic is, it's not that it's constrained. It's constrained if you look at it from three. No, it's not that it's constrained. It's insufficient. There we go. But why is it insufficient? Because it's only mapping the beginning and the end. Okay? When we're talking about a vibration or a frequency or an oscillation, you're moving between 2 points. So once you have two factors, you now have the capacity to have those 2 points. But the third factor is the oscillation between the two. Okay? No particles. I don't need any particles to explain that. Because it's not about everything vibrates. You put the tummy with the melanin in the back oil. No, it's not those things. That's not what they're talking about. The fact that those things vibrate is residual. It's the after effect. All the physical world is the after effect. It's the shit. I can't express it enough. So when someone's talking to you about vibration or frequency, be sure to check, well, what's vibrating? Okay, because he also said this as well, that it's the spirit vibrating itself. Me personally, I don't like that because it's easy to trip over. It's easy for the kids to trip over. Like yesterday I was talking to a dude and he was like, So the spirit is a vessel for the soul. And I'm like, technically, yes, but saying it like that was going to confuse you. Because of the dynamic of something like that. So when he's saying the spirit is vibrating itself, one thing I would point to is the relationship between agent and atmosphere. Think about it like this. Your physical body is inextricably connected to the world around it, regardless of how you like to see it most days. The inside of your house is inextricably connected to the outside. Okay. The agent is inextricably connected to the arena. They define one another. And so when you're talking about the thing vibrating itself, I would think about it like that, where the effect of the vibration is what we're calling the physical stuff. Okay, well, that's how I would explain it. Because again, what they're talking about when we're talking about this nirvana, okay, it's the liberation. That's the word I wanted. Liberation. When we're talking about the liberation, it's removing yourself, even the self itself, removing yourself from the self, once again, I don't like the middle path. Anyways, it's removing yourself from yourself, ceasing to be part of the disturbance, of the perturbations. Okay, and I pause because that's just my push with the middle path. Because the difference between left, right, and middle is not necessarily what the metaphysics are. We'll have different ways of talking about it. But usually the distinction is, okay, now what do we do about it? And motherfuckers are quick to get to the doing, but you gotta comprehend the being part of this. The isness of what you're talking about. You know, it's easy to say, he came in here with 90s energy at a 70s party. Oh, I don't like the vibe in here. Hey man, you know energy. it's easy to say shit like that. And you can relate to it, but you're not talking science when you do that. It's harmless to do, and it can be fun. But if you drink your own Kool-Aid to the point where you're telling yourself that's science, you fucking up. It's not science, bro. Dawson, good to see you in the chat. Didn't see you down there, sir. Boy, set up. Society ejects. Yep, that's where most of us get confused with the spirit or soul being locked in the body. And you see, and once again, this is another thing from Travis' live stream that I appreciated. Was he was talking about the necessity of comprehending that what you're looking at is frameworks. And people will have similar words in different frameworks, and if you haven't established what framework you're talking about and how that works, the things don't always necessarily make sense. Because people want to jump to, well, I'm here to make my own framework. I want it to be mine. I don't want it to be mixed with anything else. This is mine. It's better that way. All right, kiddo, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But I can't. I want to tell you you're right, but I can't because I can't necessarily tell you you're wrong either. This is why I point right back at it. Okay, then what is you? And it's one thing to strip the meaning of everything in the world and say, I'm just going to rebuild it the way I want it to. Okay, cool. I won't tell you can't do that. But what is you? It's like, okay, you got to vibrate higher to become your higher self or to get to your higher self. Okay, cool, bro. I won't tell you you're wrong. But what's vibrating? Everyone's caught up in the doing and they're missing the being. They're missing the being. That's the most essential part of this, is the being. It's not what's the next thing to do. It's what are you being? Because when you switch what it is you are being, what your isness is, what you do naturally unfolds from that to the degree to which you can do it. To the degree to which you can actually do it. Because look, I can switch my being to a gymnast today, but boy, I ain't got the back for it. Fuck you talking about? Look, it's what is you being. You got to think about the fundamentals of the framework that you're using, that you're listening to, that you're interacting with. And if motherfuckers got to give you particles in a framework, bruh, it's basically materialism. Okay? Ain't no particles. Particles and waves are artifacts of particle physics. So don't want to say just general physics or contemporary physics. Not contemporary physics. Not modern physics. What is the qualifier they put on there? What's the qualifier for physics? There's quantum physics and physics. What's the word? Anyways, whatever. Most people's biggest hurdle is the ontological category of matter. That is not sufficient to describe anything beyond the behavior of abstracts. Okay, it's just talking about doing. That's what it's supposed to do. All right, but what you're looking for is the being, because that's what's going to get you where you want to go. All right, what is you, boy? I'm trying to tell you, boy.
So the secret of the universe, according to not only Tesla in his own quote, but the secret of the universe of original Buddhism, and I emphasize original, big time original, not the modern day stuff, which is totally unoriginal. Original Advaita Vedanta, the teachings of the Upanishad, and the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, on and on and on, is the notion of the removal of disturbance of self-perturbation, which is inherent to the system. In other words, it is scattered amongst other. It is diluted, just like that rock where you actually have the gold diluted. You know, gold is gold is gold. There's no such thing as purifying gold. What we're talking about when we say purifying gold is having greater and greater potency or concentration of same. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Liberation is the subjugation of Nirodha, perturbations of spirit. Vritti Chitta, perturbations, disturbances vibrations of frequency, and the frequency and vibration of the self or the soul, or the both the primordial agnosis, which would be the seed, and the seed of primordial agnosis, which is of course desires, fears, angers, lust, and it's just the whole litany of the beautiful fruit that people, you know, goggle over as being ignorant beings, but there's of course dilution, perturbations of soul. We could say that the gold scattered in this host rock would be, you know, at one point in time before it became solid, you know, the gold was scattered. It was disturbed by some force amongst the host rock. And the other passage, which is exactly the same, but in Pali and belonging to a different teacher, it says the same thing. And that's because nothing is known except through the modality of the knower. Bhava Nirodha Nibbana. Nirvana means the subjugation of, or the ending of, there's that word again, Nirodha. Subjugation, ending, cutting off, of becoming. Becoming, or Bhava Nubhava in ancient Pali, which means becoming and rebecoming, which is actually a reference to transmigration, not reincarnation. Transmigration, there's a distinction there. Bhava is no different than saying frequency, vibration, or wave. Bhava and vritti are the exact same term. One's Sanskrit, one's Pali. Vritti means disturbance or agitation. Bhava means becoming, which is a disturbance or agitation, perpetual becoming. The ancients actually called the moon, because the moon goes through phases, they called it the king of becoming. King of, because, you know, the moon was always fluxing and refluxing, you know, waxing and waning, waning and waxing, on and on, in perpetuity. So they called the moon the king of Bhava, king of becoming.
David Goodlow, good to see you in the chat, man. Good to see you in the chat. Astrophysics. No, it's not. It's not the qualifier I'm looking for. It's not. I want to. Maybe it's particle physics. Particle physics and quantum physics. Anyways, yeah, that stuff is only talking about the doing. The isness is going to be the metaphysics, the being side. Okay. What was I just going to jump into here? Good to see you in the chat, Dave. Perturbation. Nirvana is the removal of self-perturbation. Okay, because once again, this is basically a middle path discussion. Nirvana is the removal of self-perturbation. The thing that's vibrating and the vibrations, the perturbations, the disturbance, are not the same thing. They're not the same thing. That's really what you want to look at to understand what's being said about here. You want to understand that the thing vibrating and the vibrations are two different things. And just see, I highlighted the perturbations part because I think this is a crucial point. He mentioned it as becoming. It's an eternal becoming. And so to attain nirvana is to remove yourself from the eternal becoming. Okay. And see, this is part of why I think that the left-hand path is the creation or the completion or the continuation of the work. It's like, no, lean all the way into eternal becoming. But once again, see, we don't disagree on the metaphysics. We disagree on what to do about it. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Because once again, I'm not telling you what path you got to be on, how you're supposed to do your life. You let me do that, bro. I'm going to fuck your life up. I'm going to fuck your life up. Like, you ain't you and mine, me and mine, bro, I'm going to fuck your life up. Because it's funny. Anyways, I'm sorry. Don't follow me. I'm a bad role model. The eternal, unending becoming. This is the perturbations. This is the disturbance in inertia, or of inertia, rather. Excuse me. This is the disturbance of inertia. He talks about the primordial agnosis, the absence of sensory perception. Because when we're talking about the primordial, we're talking about the fundamentals of being. How you go from absolute nothing to being. Because, bro, like a tree is mostly trunk, and it's a lot. You gotta have a lot of trunk to have a good tree, have a big tree. All right, unless it's out in the field by itself. Sometimes you have ones like digressing. When we're talking the primordial, remember it's not somewhere to go. It's not some level to attain. Like this stuff is not somewhere. This place is so much the appearance of a place. Motherfuckers think in places. Nah, not that one. Not that one. Nah, not that one. The eternal becoming. Keep this in mind. If you're looking for nirvana, it's the removal of your participation in that eternal becoming. Okay? I'm just not a middle path fan. It's not to say it's wrong. It's just I'm looking at him like, but it's okay though. It's okay. There's room for everybody.
What Nikola Tesla said is 100% no different than what is said in the passages from the Yoga Sutta Patanjalis of Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha and Bhava Nirodha Nibbana. He became friends with Swami Vivekananda, and there's actually a picture of him at the religious conference in 1893. I'm going to post the picture up in the community. I posted it up on Instagram and my Facebook page. Swami Vivekananda, late in the year 1895, wrote a letter to England to an English friend saying, Mr. Tesla thinks he can demonstrate mathematically that force and matter are reducible to potential energy.
That's my editing mistake. You can't see the quote, but here we're gonna talk about it. This is Nikola Tesla. The quote says, "That which we call matter is merely vortices or whirlpools in the ether." That which we call matter is merely vortices or whirlpools in the ether. Remember, a wave or whirlpool is something water does. It is not what water is. It's something that water does. It's not what water is, okay? Matter is something, I guess you could say, the ether does. It's not what it is. And once again, I won't say this is wrong. I would agree with this. What I don't agree with is having matter on your hands. Like, wash your hands, but I understand it because it's not wrong. It's not wrong. All right, it's just not my particular cup of tea. But yeah, this is what we're talking about. When we're saying energy is inertia, all right, the dissipation of energy is what people usually recognize as inertia. But that's not Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein's monster. It's not Frankenstein. That's Frankenstein's monster. All right, remember that. Keep that in mind. You can see this with the elements, the four elements, right? If you got ether as the original, the beginning and the end, the rest, the silence, so to speak, the inertia. The four elements are the doing of the ether. The ether is the being part. The elements are the doing part. That's why they work in a cycle. Once again, and see that's a different way of describing what he's using. Once again, I'm not using matter in that description, which is why I would have preferred. But you can use matter to describe these things, even if you're on the middle path. There's so many different ways to get down with it. All right, that's really what I want to point out. But anyways, continuing, ladies and gentlemen, continuing. Well, here I'm gonna take a piss first, and then we're gonna continue because I don't want to miss anything. Nah, nigga, germs. That's funny to me. That's funny to me. No, okay, let's continue. Thank you, Society Ejects. I need that little laugh. All right, continue.
And to go and see him next week. They actually met many times and exchanged a lot of letters and about this new mathematical demonstration. In that case, Vedantic cosmology will be placed on the surest of foundations, and I'm working a good deal now upon the cosmology and eschatology of Vedanta. I clearly see the perfect union with modern science, and the elucidation of the one will be followed by that of the other. In other words, Vivekananda was using Tesla as the brain, if you will, to show the empirical proof of the nature of Vedantic metaphysics.
There we go. Yeah, Vedantic metaphysics. So here, Tesla was talking with Swami Vivekananda. Okay, Tesla was the I don't even want to say materialist side. I don't even want to say materialist side. I would say like he said, empirical side. Even then, it kind of tastes funny for me. But him and Swami Vivekananda were having talks, communications, coming together. So if you fuck with Swami Vivekananda or you fuck with Nikola Tesla, you might fuck with both of them. Also, once again, like I said, Walter Russell. Because guys just go to me to hear the same shit I say. There's different frameworks, and you want to be able to contend with different frameworks. But really, the only way you can effectively do that is to have your own. So if you're still in the place where you're trying to find your own, keep your feet there for a minute until you figure out why you want to go where you want to go or how you want to do what you want to do. And bro, don't just be pulling out words and putting it together and looking at me, Arius, but this is how I think. This is what I believe. Yeah, but why, kiddo? Why? Because just no, that's not an answer. It's okay. You gotta be where you at before you get where you going, bro. You gotta be where you at before you get where you going. And if you don't want to look at yourself where you at, you ain't gonna move nowhere. But you know what? It's the age of capping. So I can't even be mad. I can be mad, but I'm gonna not. It's the age of capping. Anyways, let me continue. So yeah, Vedantic philosophy. It's another place you can go. Another thing you can look at, because remember, when you're looking at these different frameworks, look for the metaphysical presuppositions. Look for the fundamentals. Not so that you can trip the person up, but so that you can understand it. Motherfuckers think I try and trip you up because you trip. Fuck. Anyways, continuing. I like seeing you trip. That doesn't mean I tried to make you trip. Okay? I like seeing you trip. I like seeing everyone trip. It's funny, even when I trip. Doesn't mean I tried to make you trip. Okay, I'm sorry. We continue.
And the last one from Nikola Tesla. Our organs of reception too are deficient and deceptive. As a semblance of life is produced by rapid succession of inanimate pictures, so many of our perceptions are but trickery of the senses, devoid of reality. The greatest triumph of man were those in which his mind had to free itself from the influences of delusive appearances.
I want to run over this real quick. Because this is a big point I've been making throughout this season of the show. And kind of the reason you don't want to, why I say you don't want to run from illusion, but you want to understand how it works and how it influences you, how it's part of the agreement you're making, how you're framing reality. Because it's one thing to say, I'm going to make my own shit. Okay, cool. All right. But you got to check it for integrity. Niggas want nest rules to apply to the real world. Then it wouldn't be the real world. Nah, bro, I was never in the nest. It's just the world is wrong. No, bro, you've been living in the nest. You've been living in the nest. The world always been like this. Fuck you mean. Anyway, our organs of reception, all right? So eyes, ears, mouth, organs of reception, okay? 2 are deficient and deceptive. Deficient, not enough, all right, or not working properly. I wouldn't say not working properly. I'd say deficient and not enough, okay? And deceptive, meaning you're not getting the full picture from them. All right, so flat earthers, just because, oh, this is what I see. No, they're deceptive. They're not made for you to see reality. They're made for you to see what's most efficient for the body's evolution. That's it. Okay, it's a virtual desktop. It's a 3-dimensional desktop. It's a video game headset, if you will. And those are analogies. Those are analogies. Those are analogies. Anyways, deficient and deceptive, okay? Now, as a semblance of life is produced by rapid succession of inanimate pictures, which is a movie, okay? As a semblance of life is produced by rapid succession of inanimate pictures. You take regular, non-moving pictures and you flick them in a little reel, you make a movie. You make a semblance of life, okay? That's what's being referred to. So, as a semblance of life is produced by rapid successions of inanimate pictures, so many of our perceptions are but trickery of the senses, devoid of reality. Many of our perceptions, the faculties by which we perceive, are but trickery of the senses, devoid of reality. And this is not a bug in the system, it's a feature. Okay? This is not a bug in the system, it's a feature. Computers would suck if everyone had to use a command line. Computers would suck if everyone had to use a command line. Cars would suck if everybody needed to know how an engine worked. The fact that there's an illusionary layer between you and the reality of a situation is not a bug in the system, it's a feature. Illusion is essential, it is necessary. Otherwise, all you'd have is the one thing that's everything. And for all intents and purposes, bro, that may as well just be zero, which is what the original problem was. Fuck you mean, is. Look, that's a debate you can have. Continuing.
And the influences of delusive appearances. Such was the relation of the Buddha that the self, and this is referring to the existential self, not the transcendent self here, okay? Relation of the Buddha that the self is an illusion caused by the persistence and continuity of mental images.
I'm going to get to the fact that you mentioned existential and transcendental, the transcendent self. I'll get to that in a second. I want to hit this. The self is an illusion caused by the persistence and continuity of mental images. Talking to a homie yesterday, he was trying to get how it is you grasp the being. All right, he was trying to intellectualize different ways or different ways of looking at it. And I was like, no. Okay, this is a being thing. You're already doing it. All right. Now, first of all, the illusion aspect. Okay, the illusion doesn't mean run away. All right, it's not what it appears to be. We get that. Let's lean in. The self is an illusion caused by the persistence and continuity. Persistence and continuity of mental images. Now, when I say mental images, it's not brain. It's not brain. It's not brain. And the image isn't necessarily visual. Here, let's go to let's look up the word image real quick. Let's look up the word image real quick because I think that's necessary. Because I was looking at it yesterday to see where I wanted to go. Here it is. Because it was the seventh definition they had, which is what I'm looking for. Here we go. A reproduction or imitation of the form of a person or thing, all right, especially an imitation in solid form. All right, a reproduction or imitation of the form of a person or thing. All right, so when we're talking about the image of something, That's what we're referring to. All right. Remember, you have the Most High and the image of the Most High, which will give rise to that which is made in the image. Okay, so the image and the thing are two different things. Remember, energy and frequency are two different things. It's what's being moved and the movements. Okay, so when I'm talking about mental images, it can be as simple as this, and here's how you're already doing it. Remember, persistence and continuity. Continuity being the narrative, okay? Persistence being the nodes, right? Persistence is going to be the nodes, continuity is going to be the narrative of it. You're doing it with your personality already. You have the whole theology of what it is to be branding. Okay, you know where branding came from. You have all these persistent scenes, episodic scenes of life that define what branding is. How do they do it? With the persistence and the continuity. All right. If you had random scenes that had no continuity, they wouldn't. Their persistence would be confusing. Okay, if you had random scenes with no continuity, if they were persistent, their persistence would be confusing. Okay, you have all the different episodic scenes of Brandon, and you have the continuity of them. What you need to do is for Cliff have the same texture and quality of persistence and continuity. All right, the fact that it's illusionary does not mean get rid of it, go away, and let it go. I mean, in some respects, that could be the case. But once again, the metaphysics are the same or very similar, but different ideas of what to do about it. That's the big thing, okay? Persistent continuity.
That's from February 1919, Famous Scientific Illusions, Electrical Experimenter, page number 692, quote from Nikola Tesla. And that, of course, is where Westerners get really screwed up, especially in the early days. They would confuse one self with the other self. There's the existential, psychophysical self, the persona non grata, Bob Sue Larry, that you see in the bathroom mirror when you brush your teeth, and there's the transcendent self.
This is not my particular framework, but it's a framework. You want to understand what he's saying, not to agree or disagree. You want to understand what he's saying. The transcendental self, transcendental. There we go. I said it right the first time. Transcendental self is a different category or class of self. All right. The idea of the existential, consubstantial, or the psychophysical. Are different names for the same concept he's talking about. Okay, psychophysical I think would be a good description of the existential stuff. And mind you, I don't like the only reason I don't like psychophysical. It's really just the way the words are fit together and how I like to use the words already. So it's not necessarily good or bad, right or wrong. But I think psychophysical is very intuitive. He's talking about the self. He says the self you see in the mirror. I usually have a little more places in between that, but that's intuitive enough, really. All right, the self you see in the mirror, the idea of yourself as that thing. Okay, the transcendent self, excuse me, I'll say it that way. The transcendent self is a different aspect of the same self we're talking about. Okay, does the future exist? Only so much as the past does. Good to see you in the chat, ZJ. That's like saying does hot exist? Well, only so much as cold does. Okay, so yeah, so this is a different framework than I usually use. But you want to understand what he's saying and why he's saying it, okay? So when he talks about the transcendent self and the existential self, these are what he's referring to. Because remember, we're talking metaphysics.
consubstantial psychophysical self, the persona non grata, Bob Sue Larry, that you see in the bathroom mirror when you brush your teeth, and there's the transcendent self. One is the transcendent self, and the other one's the consubstantial self. As in the Old English, you know, not nary a soul was to be seen on the streets in the bad weather. By soul, we mean a living soul. Not that that is the soul, but it is the consubstantial soul. It is the coordinate soul, no different than the analogy of the signal, which is everywhere and nowhere, right? There's no signal in the radio, but we know it's here and there and everywhere, right? That would be analogous to the transcendent soul versus the process soul, which of course gives life to the radio, and that of course is the emission from the speaker, which would be analogous to consciousness, and the consubstantial soul, also too analogous to the
Thursday night
psychophysicals. Because what comes out of the speaker ain't the same as the signal. The speaker is putting out the interpolation of the signal, which is a vibration, by the way. Yeah, a frequency, a vibration, a disturbance, a vritti, a bhava. You see how all this ties together so simply? He's talking about frequency and vibration. Frequency, vibration, and becoming and disturbance. These are all references of an agitation of something due to something else. Yeah. Magnetism is, by the way, a energy modality vibration, which has a frequency and it has a spatial geometry. And by the way, space is the after effect, or literally the flatulence of the loss of energy of the dielectric. Yeah. Kind of, it sounds really crude, but it'll make you laugh. Have you ever seen a video where like somebody plopped a dog or a cow or something into a bubble bath, and you know some gas was ripped, and it created a bubble, and that bubble had a shape. You know, that bubble would be the magnetism, and of course the gaseous after effect would be analogous to the space. It is a privation of the water itself.
All right. Just so you don't get left behind what he's talking about here. We're making a distinction between the signal and what comes out of the speaker. Because what comes out of the speaker isn't in the radio. All right. I mean, and the signal isn't necessarily in a particular place. So talking about it in places is what's going to fuck you up. Okay, this is part of why I like this analogy he's using. Okay, let's say you got the water, right? Underwater, and there's a poop. There's a poop in the water, right? You get the appearance of a bubble. All right, that's a privation or depriving of the water itself. Okay, there's no bubble there. What you're looking at is the how do I say it? It's an effect. How do I say it? Because privation is how you say it, but what do I want to say? The gas part of the poop, that's the space. Okay, you're seeing the sphere is the result of that privation or that deprivation or that I almost want to say impotence. But it's not even subtracting because nothing's going anywhere. It's a privation is a perfect word for it, but I want to see if there's a different way of saying it. It's a depriving. You're depriving. Because when you think of a poot, it's coming from somewhere. This isn't the same thing as that. Because it's as if the water pooted. Yeah, it's as if the water pooted, bro. Like, remember, energy is the inertia. All right, it's like the water. All right, it's like the water. It's the is part. All right, when we're seeing this bubble, it's a result of the doing. The appearance of the sphere, that bubble, is the result of the doing part. Okay, so I think that's mostly what I'm trying to point here. The fart ripple is an after effect. Water fart. Water farting. Yeah. No. Yeah. The appearance of the bubble is that after effect. Okay. Bruh. Why is this not on silent? No, I can't do it right now. I can't do it right now. Boy, you're playing with me. Oh, I turned the volume down. I didn't put it on fucking silent. Okay. Old niggas in technology, bro. Okay. Let me continue. Because he's going to get into the idea of the dielectric, electromagnetism, these are the things niggas are interested in physics. So here we go. Let's continue so that you can hear it.
If the water is the energy, then the absence of water. You can't say this idea of reification of space and time, which these modern scientists are so horribly ignorant of, is not a thing. You can't. Nikola Tesla said this endlessly. He was ashamed of the fact that they reified space and time. He said space doesn't have properties. It's literally the impotency of energy and potency. When we see a bubble, like, wow, it's a big bubble. Yeah, but it's not a thing. Now, a regular bubble has gas in it, of whatever variety of gas. But the contents of the toroidal magnetic bubble of energy result into the loss of energy, the dielectric, because magnetism is the dielectric field. Just as ice is like, there's ice in the water, Captain. That's true, but the ice is just the modality of water, right? But we have this fancy word called ice. And it's just water. It's cold water. We have this fancy word called magnetism. But it's just dielectricity. Magnetism is a dielectric field. Mother Nature is that simple, hairy armpit chick with muddy feet and hemp skirt. And she doesn't have a calculator. And everything is simplex pressure mediation. So Nikola Tesla's quote-unquote secret of the universe, thinking in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, is the very same secret of the Yoga Sutta Patanjali's, and the most important passage, one of, in the Nikayas, Bhav Nirodhana Bandham, and Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, the subjugation of disturbance, of frequency, of vibration. That, of course, by definition, is rest. When you have rest, you don't have energy dissipation. And when you don't have energy dissipation, you don't have force. This is the absolutist definition of rest.
Rest. This is what I want to talk about. Perfect. Rest. I said before, you can explain this stuff in music. When you look at it, when you look in the direction of this in music, all music, all sound begins and ends in silence. Every song you ever heard, every sentence you ever spoke, all of it begins and ends in silence, okay? But I wouldn't call that rest. Rest is what I would call silence in the context of the music or of the sound. For example, you ever hear, you heard a rap song where, that shit's going in, all of a sudden it shit just stop and then hit again. Like, and you see, if I had music theory language, I could tell you what that is in the nomenclature or the collection, the lexicon of that particular body of knowledge. But I don't have it. So I can't tell you what it is. But you've experienced it. All right. Even in regular musical notation, there are places where rest is put in. And see, the rest isn't silence. It isn't just shut up, stop playing. Okay? Because that's something different. I mean, it's of the same essence or nature, maybe. Because rest is a part of continuous motion. It's not rest like silence is rest. It's a note almost, but it's a note that's not a note. Did I show? No, somebody else sent me that video. Fuck. No, that's not part of what I showed you guys. I'm sitting there thinking, because I talked to somebody else about it. No, I can't show you that because I don't have that video. I have that video because somebody showed it to me, but I don't want to look at that. But I could do that. I could. No, because I didn't plan to go that way. I'm not finished with this. I'm almost finished with this. When you're trying to understand this, the different metaphysical texts, like the drawings and the symbolism, you have to keep in mind the space and the rest, the fact that the thing that connects to things a lot of times isn't the same type of thing. It's what's going to get you out of this duality, dude. Because a lot of people are in the duality kick. Like I don't like the framework of universe A and B. I don't like the framework of universe A and B. I think it's incomplete. There has to be a third element. There has to be, otherwise it's incomplete. And a lot of people listen to Bobby Hemmett and they think, okay, I like what this guy is saying. This must be it. Like a ghost note. Yeah, Dawson, it's like a ghost note. That's a good way to say it. I like that. That's a good way to say it. It's like a ghost note. Because it's not necessarily silence. It's a rest, and it's like a ghost note. Yeah, because it has the potency of a note, but it's not manifest as a note is. I like that. A ghost note. A ghost note. Yeah, that rest is like a ghost note. Because, man, dropping the beat on the song sometimes will turn that shit all the way the fuck up. You know when the niggas having a rap battle, right? And, you know, the beat is hitting, then the shit just dropped, and they start going a cappella. Let's stop. And then especially if you catch the beat on the upswing, on the right words, let's stop. Right? See, look, once again, I don't have the music theory nomenclature to explain what that is. Okay, I'm talking metaphysics. I'm usually talking particular frameworks. So yeah, there's so much more here to learn. There's so many different ways to look at this one thing. And just because I talk shit about things doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Like, bro, see, this is what motherfuckers gotta get about me talking shit. You can do everything 100% right, and I'm still going to talk shit. I'm not making fun of you because you're doing something wrong. Even though I'm telling you what you're doing wrong, I'm not making fun of you because you're doing something wrong. I'm making fun of you because I'm a dick. I'm gonna roast you about anything. Like, bro, that's the shit some folks didn't get when they was growing up and getting roasted. They thinking it's because I'm doing something wrong. Like, no, nigga, you exist. That's what I was gonna ask. Ghost notes. Yeah, bro. I like that shit. I gotta lean into that a little bit. Here, let me finish this out. What did I leave before? Yeah, bro. There's plenty of places to have discussions about this metaphysical shit. I'm not the only nigga in the world, best and baddest, last and first. Like, nah, bro. I'm just out here better than other niggas. Mostly you, and it's okay. Cause shit. You know, I'm not look, that's what I'm saying. Motherfucker come through here and defeat me on some shit. Anyways, let me continue, guys.
So this is the metaphysics of Nikola Tesla in his own words. And he was friends with Swami Vivekananda. They had a bromance going on. They communicated and met each other. And they agreed on many points. And obviously Swami Vivekananda loved Tesla because he could prove the same thing that Vivekananda had proved, except from a scientific point of view, because they're not different. Metaphysics and physics are not two different things. That's just as stupid as thinking, you know, the head side of a coin and the tail side of a coin. That's one thing and that's another. It's like, no, that's the coin. They're not two different things. They're one thing. Anybody that thinks there's two things is suffering, of course, from ignorance. Suffering from chittavriti, mental perturbations, vibration, frequency. And that frequency and vibration is due to what? Primordial agnosis. And by the way, the ancient Pali, Sanskrit, and Greek word for agnosis, or avidya, is no different than saying illumination relative to light. Because illumination has a frequency. And it is the disturbance of light itself. People confuse illumination with light. No, there's no difference. Illumination is light. No, this is light, and this is the disturbance of light with a set frequency called illumination. Vidya, avidya, light illumination, the agathon, and the aoristos dias. It is so simple. But they're so blinded, they actually can't see the simple. Anyway, I hope you like this video. If you ever want to contact me, my information is in the description below. Any donations always warmly welcome.
Light and illumination. Light and illumination. Peep the difference, because this is kind of what we've been talking about the whole time. The difference between energy and frequency. It's what is vibrating. Alright, a wave is a modality disturbance of something caused by something else. Okay, you want to get those metaphysical presuppositions and not just the new thing to tell niggas or to make you more confident. Alright, you can get to your confidence, but you need some clarity and some consistency in your thought before you can be confident about it. And you can't tell you got clarity or consistency unless you test it and try it. Like, bro, you want a nigga to build you a car and he ain't tested it, he ain't tried it? No, we ain't testing other stuff. I mean, bro, look, really, you just gotta believe. Okay, look, you don't accept that shit nowhere else. But we'll accept that shit in a place where we don't know what we're talking about, to mask the fact that we don't know. If you want to know, you gotta stop lying to yourself that you do know. I actually didn't have much for today, bro. I mean, look, this shit is simple. It's fundamentally simple. Different framework can get complicated. I try to keep mine as uncomplicated as I can. Try to show you what these other frameworks are. Like, bro, if you look at, like, let's say you're an electrician, right? If you're looking at the tree of life is a schematic. The tree of life is a schematic. And I take you into the building that's a schematic of. What's the relationship between that schematic and that building? That schematic don't tell you what to do. Hell, you open that wall up, it may not be exactly like that schematic. And you already know that. So when you're looking at treat it like a schematic. Treat it like a schematic. You the house. What do you mean? But what is you? So you can't get away from that. You can't get away from that. Unless you ignore it. Okay. You ignore it. You ignore it. Go ahead. Do I want to take them anyway? This is what I want to do right now. I want to talk about a little bit about this this group. I want to talk a little bit about this group. Because, right, this shit is so simple. It can all be so simple. So I want to put in extra effort to show you how simple it can be. In an environment where I love throwing motherfuckers in the deep end. But part of that is my own trauma from having to do it all by myself. And motherfuckers think having to do it all by themselves is a point of pride. Bruh, it makes your form shit. It makes your form shit. Your fundamentals are going to be terrible. It's mud and mud and mud and mud, and it don't tickle, and you don't get no bitches for that shot, bruh. You just come back with dirty clothes and a sour look from other motherfuckers. And that's really not what you want. I give you the sour look, boy. You go back to the shadows for the next 5 years. Look, you don't want to have to do all of this on your own, bro. No Homo sapien does that. You know, we live on the shoulders of giants. So people who have figured things out, processes and formula for ways of doing things. All right? No one starts at square one, and if you did, it would suck. It would suck. You don't want that. I know you don't want that. ZJ says, I never thought I'd see Ken on your show. Oh shit, you watch Ken? That's what's up. I've been watching his stuff for years. Hell yeah, bro. I fuck with Ken. Like, once again, I don't think he's left-hand path, and I don't necessarily need him to be. You know, I appreciate motherfuckers who look at the source material and actually interested in metaphysics. Because like I said, bro, most folks ain't interested. They find it interesting. Okay. Well, they're not necessarily interested in the sense where we're going to have a back and forth about it. And then that's cool. You know, if a motherfucker is just interested, we got plenty to listen to, plenty to talk about. But yeah, I want to get people beyond just being interested in this stuff. Like, motherfuckers got years of audios and videos they've watched, but they've done barely anything, and then some of the motherfuckers who try a little bit, it don't work the way they expected, and so instead of addressing their expectation, they assume they've done it wrong or this shit don't work, because they don't even really know what working looks like. That's a lot of the fake it till you make it kind of thing, bro. And then, oh God, fake it till you make it, bro. How do you know when you've made it? How do you know what making it looks like? What you inevitably do is just repeat your teacher. So I want to help people out who actually want to get helped out. Not to tell you what you're supposed to do, not to make you my follower, because I will fart. I will fart, and I'll laugh at you for walking in it. You don't want to follow me. I'd rather set niggas up to be what the fuck they was gonna be. So much so that motherfuckers forget about me. Shit. For real, I want motherfuckers to be what they're supposed to be, not how I say it is. Not how I say it is. Because you can't sit there and just be beyond correction, bro. Niggas want to be the new Jesus and new preacher. And it don't exist, especially if you out here saying everybody's ultimately right. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to have the details on this shit, bro. We going to the playground. We going to the fucking playground, bro. We going to the fucking playground. And really, look, anybody who actually still want to get on metaphysics, self-deification, I'm going to have plenty of that. I'm going to have plenty of that for you. There's going to be a space for it if you want it. But that ain't what most of y'all niggas want. It's real shit. It's interesting. But you ain't interested. And it's cool. I just want niggas to get over the hump and move. Let's get you over that first hump so we can get you in here. Okay? Help you figure out how to actually build the craft you want to engage with, how to live this lifestyle. This shit is a lifestyle. And a lot of motherfuckers are confused on what to do. And it's not so much a doing as it is a being. I mean, we can help you get to the doing. All right, if you want to get to the doing, even though I don't know how the fuck you know what that's supposed to look like yet, we can get you there. We'll get you moving and in a cycle of growth that not only you can see, but you can map out for yourself and direct. Because that's the point. Most people are having trouble with starting that growth up. Okay, here, look, I'm going to help you with the spark of the fire, show you where to get the little sticks from. You run the fire. And watch, you can move that shit into a blaze, but you got to deal with the fundamentals. You got to deal with where you're starting at. People will be like, confidence is key. Okay, I'm not going to tell you confidence is completely unnecessary, but if you don't have consistency and clarity, consistency in your thought and clarity in what the fuck you believe shit to be, your confidence is hollow. Your confidence needs to come from your consistency and your clarity. And a lot of motherfuckers ain't even doing nothing, bruh. Like, they'll do a meditation here or there, they'll light a candle here or there, but they ain't doing nothing. And so I want to get niggas doing stuff, bruh. And it don't even have to be spectacular and extravagant. Motherfuckers try to be extravagant immediately. You can't be as pretty as me immediately. I ain't switching shoes, bruh. Look, it's gotta unfold. It looks awful and disgusting at first, just like babies. They look nasty and terrible at first. Awful, disgusting little wrinkly thing. But then it develops into something less ugly, I guess. Less ugly. We'll say less ugly. This is it for today. I ain't had your day too long. Like I said, next episode, I want to talk about polyamory. Polyamory, polygamy, kind of draw some lines about that. Discuss it. Because motherfuckers always talk about the damn multiple incomes thing. And, I can't tell you you're wrong, but I can't necessarily say you're right. I don't like that idea. I don't like the way a lot of motherfuckers have been framing it, but I'm going to talk about it. And in episode 52, I want to talk about law in a way that I haven't talked about with y'all. And that'll be the season, bro. That'll be the season. 2 seasons. Who else do this? Don't nobody else do this. Oh, it's because they can, right? Got them. Anyways, we're going to have a new show. We're going to have a group. We're going to have work to do, bro. Let's get it in. I appreciate y'all giving me your Monday morning. Thank you very much. The skies are clearing up. I'm up out this bitch. Y'all have an amazing day. Holla at your boy. You know where to find me.